So if you just kind of want to start off with whatever name you want to give and why you're here, it's a good starting question.
Okay. My name is Lauren Bluehair, and I'm here because Occupy Wall Street saved my life.
How is that exactly, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, when I moved back to New York City from Florida, and a brief stint in Buffalo, New York, I was very lost. I was feeling a little bit apathetic about my life. I was completely stressed out with debt. I had felt like I had lost my chance to have a music career. I had gotten wrapped up in the party scene years ago and just got really sick and tired, a little prematurely. I'm only 27 now, and you know, you just start to feel like your 20s have passed you by. I came back to New York City with a last-ditch effort to see if I could make something of myself. I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't know anybody anymore. And then I found Occupy completely by accident. As I was walking by one day, I heard the drum circle, and I basically sat there for hours watching and just feeling very taken aback by the mood and the atmosphere, these strange eclectic bodies just all hanging out for no particular reason. And within a week I found out about what Occupy was and what was happening and what was being created in the space at Zuccotti Park, and it just blew me away, and I felt like this is it. This is why I came back to New York City. I had no idea, but this must be it. It felt too real. It felt too good to walk away from it. I decided that I really had nothing to lose, and I thought, if I don't do this now, I'm never gonna find any kind of happiness in the road I'm going. You know, you feel like you're on that hamster wheel. You're like, I'm never gonna get out of debt. I'm never gonna get a good job because I dropped out of college. If I go back to college now, I'll just be in more debt, and there aren't any jobs anyway. So fuck it, Occupy. And I was like, this, I can live rent free. Food is there, and this is an opportunity for me to kind of reinvent myself and figure out who I really am and be completely free. So I decided to have my own personal protest. I stopped paying my debt. I let my car get repoed. I quit my job at Times Square, moved out of my dad's house, and I dragged this busted suitcase down to the park, and I never left. And I got right into it with the sanitation working group, and I felt like it was important to have hard workers to keep the place clean, because, you know, living environment and all.
Right.
And it wasn't so much living in the park that changed my life, it was the people that I met. It was the people who shared their stories so openly and passionately and were willing to put their bodies on the line day after day and endure, you know, what was sometimes not the greatest situation. You know, living in the park was a really crazy life for 2 months, and we faced all kinds of problems and issues, and so many different types of people were living feet away from each other, you know, and that's something I had never seen. I had this old Native American man next to this group of anarchists, next to these hippies, next to a bunch of punks and crusties, and then we had the think tankers, which was predominantly, you know, old black dudes, and it reminded me of like a barbershop conversation, you know, and here we all were, and I was learning so much about the world and learning so much about what was wrong and why we needed to be there, and it was just like, I was blown away by the amount of knowledge and life experience and passion that existed. It was just utter, untamed, raw passion, and I felt at home. I felt more at home there than I ever had. And over the course of a few weeks, I felt like I had a new family. You know, a family that totally embraced me for who I was and what I wanted to be and what I was transforming into. And I watched so many other transformations happen, and it's been such a beautiful journey. And we've gone through so much hardship together and so many traumatic experiences. But the thing that kept me with Occupy when it got really difficult, sometimes I felt like I wanted to give up, was the fact that we were always able to laugh. There's this element of humor to Occupy Wall Street that separates us from other world around us, and that's what keeps us sane, and it makes us extremely resilient. Because I think most people would have given up by now if they had gotten the shit beat out of them, gotten thrown in jail for bullshit, had themselves evicted time and time again, lost all their property, and been alienated from society. Most people would give up and say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to do it the way the system wants me to. I'm just going to shut my mouth because this is not worth it. But that didn't happen here. You watched a few hundred people stick it out through everything. Stick out through being homeless through the winter. Stick it out through being evicted every night out of Union Square here and getting their shit kicked out of you at Zuccotti Park, and then having it caged at Federal Hall while the SWAT team stares you down. It's the most crazy freaking world I could have ever imagined living in, and yet I don't feel like I belong anywhere else. I leave and I just want to come right back. I'm gone for a day and I'm wondering how everybody's doing. There's this invisible thread that just keeps me tied, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm more alive than I've ever been. I feel more focused than I've ever been, and I'm more hopeful, and I'm less afraid of death because I know that when I die, I did something important on this earth, and I can rest knowing that I think I did something right, and that I figured out what life's really about.
Well, you covered greatly one half of the next question I was going to ask you, whether you think the best part of all of this is. And now for the difficult question, what do you believe is the worst part of the Occupy movement? Not just the situation, but of the movement. And this is coming from an occupier who spent time physically occupying as well, so it's not biased kind of question.
I think the worst element of Occupy Wall Street is the fact that most of the people who are on the front lines are extremely damaged and traumatized by our society, and the neglect and the abuse that a lot of us have faced trying to live in this world and trying to survive in this world. It has had a very negative effect on us, and a lot of us need serious rehabilitation and therapy, and our society does not see value in rehabilitating people. It does not see value in spending money on addressing the psychological state of mind of people. And so as a result of that, you see a lot of people who misrepresent this movement because they're so damaged and they're so misguided. And it puts a very negative light on our movement, and it makes people afraid of us. And the fact that we get arrested so much and appear verbally violent and appear unstable, and we look psychotic, and we express ourselves in a very loud and angry way, and most people can't approach that. They don't know what to do with that. So there are a lot of people who want to be a part of Occupy, but the face of Occupy is the die-hard, raw individuals who have lost everything, and at this point have nothing more to lose, and they put themselves out there in all their glitz and glory, and the public is very taken aback by that. I see it as a beautiful and at the same time ugly product of our society. And this, America, this is what we have done to ourselves. Look at what we have created. This is our youth. Take a good look. It's not that pretty, but it is the youth nonetheless. Just like the 60s counterculture wasn't that pretty. They looked like a bunch of drug-induced crazy people that were ready to jump out of a building because they thought they could fly. This is the new generation. And so it's hard because we want to connect with middle America. We want to connect with the sophistication of America. We want to reach the intellects. We want to reach the homeless. We want to reach the businessmen. We want to reach the immigrant workers. But a lot of people are just damn scared of us and have no idea how to relate to something so chaotic and so animalistic. It frightens the shit out of people. So that to me is the biggest problem, is how do we break that down, and how do we make people less intimidated and less afraid of what we are? Because you can't stop that. We are who we are. We have drug addicts, we have alcoholics, we have seriously unstable people, and we're doing the best we can without the resources resources that our society provides. We are trying to use love and forgiveness and simply being with each other as a way to heal. You know, all of this, the music, the drumming, the dancing, the simply hanging out and touching and holding, that's the only thing we have. And I have watched people change and not harbor that hatred. I've watched them let it go.
So what, in your opinion, would be the best way to reach these others and bring them into the fold, so to speak?
I think it takes a few people who are not too off the society norm to be a representation of Occupy. I think I'm somebody who kind of takes a dip in both waters, where I feel very at home here on the street with my family and with the crazies and with the homeless and with the artists and the ones that to me are like the misfit toys, you know. And then, but every once in a while, I take a dip in the more button-down version of Occupy with the PR people and the internet people and the people who go out and do interviews and do the films and the press. And I kind of dabble in both worlds. I've been featured in almost every newspaper outlet and media outlet you can think of, and I do it because I have the ability to articulate the message and to say it in a way that people realize, oh my God, she's fucking smart. She can speak. She's not an idiot. Just because she has blue hair and she wears funny things doesn't mean she's not intelligent. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. And I love to be that element, that paradigm.
Liaison almost.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most brilliant things we can do. If we can help people to articulate their message well enough to show people that there's something beyond the dreads and the tattoos and the face paint and the glitter, that there actually are amazing individuals that got left behind because society saw no value in them. But we know the value, and we are the richest in the world right now because we have that awareness. And that awareness gives us a privilege that the 1% don't have. And our happiness is something that they are trying so hard to get a piece of. They're so empty. And we're filling that emptiness here. And they wish so badly they could have what we have. They think that their fancy dinner is going to give it to them. They think that their fancy cars and their fancy apartments and their big bank accounts and their planes and trains and automobiles, they think that that's all going to give them that filler for the void. And it's not. And that's why they're fucking miserable. They don't have anything. All that crap, they can't take it with them when they die. They can't. It doesn't matter. And that's why, you know, as crazy as this movement is and as intimidating as it is to people, I think people are going to get used to us. That's my hope, is that people get used to this and start to like this and start to have the guts and the courage to enjoy it and participate. You know, it's like going to a show where there's audience participation and they say, can I get a volunteer? And everybody's like, I don't want to do it. But secretly you're like, I want to go. You know, and then somebody grabs you and says, come on. And you're like, oh, and your friends are like, go, do it. I dare you. We're daring people to enjoy this and to not see it as a bad thing.
All right, so as a final question for you, if you had one sentence to say to your fellow occupiers, what would it be?